All right, what is up, guys? This is Ryan from Elevate Security, and in this video we're going to be looking at a number of vulnerabilities here that we're just going to tackle at the end of kind of coming to a conclusion of this series, as far as showing you a lot of the low-hanging fruit and how to avoid the rabbit holes, of course. So really with this, I feel like Metasploit 2 covers pretty much all of the ones that I can think about as far as the low-hanging fruit. We only have a few more here to go with. Particularly in this video, a little preview here for you guys. We're going to be covering a couple of the databases, MySQL, Postgres, and then VNC here. And then, yeah, a little bit more to come in the future, wrapping these up here as we get to the end of our Nmap scan. But the first thing we're going to look at is MySQL, which is a service that, it's a database. And normally when you see it, it's running on only accessible through the local host. Normally it's not internet accessible like this. So that is something that pretty much instantly tips me off as something a bit abnormal. Now, not to say that in and of itself is a vulnerability, but if they don't lock it down, if they don't secure it well, as that's been the trend with Metasploitable 2, is not using default passwords, not using secure passwords and stuff like that. So that's the first thing we're going to try. So let's just go ahead over to a new window. We can use the MySQL command line utility with the -h flag and then the target IP address. If it's the same as it was the other day, then I believe it should be 104. And then -u, we're going to try the default account of root and password being blank. All right, so from here we can run the help command, or we can do the shorthand /h here, which run that. And this will give us a listing of all the different commands that we can run here. And what's pretty interesting is we have the system here. We can execute system shell commands. We can look for the databases and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. So we can start by show databases, I believe. And here's all the different ones that we have here. And then from there we can choose to use one, like the damn vulnerable web app. And then we can see what tables there are. And we can get the user, all the users, and pretty much whatever we want. Of course, like I was saying earlier, we can run system commands as well. So yeah, using those default credentials, we were able to connect to their system here. And here I'll show you. Can do something like this and get the user. Now, one thing I'm not quite sure of, and if any of you guys know, let me know in the comment section below. It seems that this, from what I can tell, these system commands, it's running them on my system and not the target system. Maybe that is for security measures. But definitely when we look at the databases, this is definitely on their end, because we see here like damn vulnerable web app, Metasploit, MySQL. And like we go in here and, well, let's see. How do we select the user? Like let's do select everything from users. Admin, hack me. Maybe this is one that's like pretty hackable. Let's see. This is kind of interesting now, so we'll keep going down this rabbit hole for a little bit. I wonder what is in the Metasploit table, or database rather. Or even the MySQL. So let's select everything from user. Oh, oops. Okay, we have the root account here, which is, I think, the one we logged in as. So these are the MySQL. Now, it kind of looks weird because I have the font turned up for you guys so you can see, and that's really throwing things off here. I really would want this to be a smaller font if I wanted this to be more readable. But it looks like it's just these 3 accounts as far as it. This is what it looks like to me. But, so that's for that. I'm just curious about this because, yeah, there's a lot of information you can glean from this, obviously. And you'd want to be really thorough about it if you were on a pen test or anything like that, right? So let's see what tables are available here. Okay, yeah, there's no tables in this database. But yeah, that's pretty much how you can poke around on that sort of stuff. We'll go ahead and exit out of here for now. So yeah, that is that. Now Postgres, similar situation, only difference is a little bit different syntax when you interact with the database client. So we'll just go ahead and verify what port that was. I think it was 5432. Yeah, okay. So the command line utility we're going to use to access that is called psql. So we'll do that, and oh man, let's see if I can remember this. I think it is -U Postgres password Postgres. I think there's something else like the IP address. I forget how to put that in. Let me, you know what? Let me just take a look at my notes really quick here. Yeah, -H for host, and then we'll give it our target IP address. So Postgres being the password, that's just default credentials there. Same deal as with the MySQL, it's just different default credentials as well. Now they have their own syntax. Let's do this for help. This will show me a listing of all the different commands that we can use basically. I think type help and get something different. Let's see. Okay, we can actually get help with psql commands with this here. So what we want to do is we want to show the data, show the databases, and I think that's what, like a /d. Okay, no, /d is to show tables, but we want to see the databases first. Let's search database. List databases with the /l command. Okay, \l that is. So we have these ones here. Let's see. I think it's C and then database name to use it. So let's try Postgres. Give it the password. We're now connected to that. Now let's look for the tables. Okay, there's no tables there. If we try, let's just check these other ones. Template 0, and I think if I remember correctly, there wasn't anything in these databases. Yeah, that one's not accepting connections. If we try template 1, oops. And okay, this one is, but yeah, we're not finding any, unless, didn't find any relations. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Let's take a look one more time at the tables here, right? Maybe /DT. Let's try that. Maybe I just had it wrong. \DT, no relations. Well, it wants a pattern after that, so maybe we can say like this for all. I'm not really too familiar with what it's looking for. But if we go up, let's just try one last thing. Postgres, DT, nothing. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I don't think there's anything on here. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, let me know. Maybe I'll go back and correct it. But yeah, it doesn't really look like there's much here. But that's how we basically got access to the Postgres database. So in most situations, that's going to be pretty lucrative, right? But it could be a rabbit hole, right? Like, so there you go. If it's a rabbit hole, that's just something that, we looked for the low-hanging fruit. That's not to say that there's no possible way forward from there, but we just sort of poked around and nothing came out to us as low-hanging fruit. So we go on to the next service that is of interest, right? And we look for the low-hanging fruit there. If we don't find any way to get a shell on the system after looking at all the potential low-hanging fruits, that's when we would go back to the other things. Like we would go back to Postgres and say, okay, let's look a little bit more in depth, right? Let's spend more time here. But see, that just goes to show it's a really tough skill to do in this pen testing stuff, but you got to know when to say, okay, I'm going to step away from this, look at something else, right? And really manage your time effectively. That's going to really pay off on the OSCP. So now just going forward here, we're going to look at that VNC service that we saw running on port 5900. Now, we're going to go play along the lines of default credentials, right? So in this case, I believe there is a program called VNC Viewer. Okay, yeah. And so this is basically the client application that you use to connect to a VNC server. Now, I will say, if you're not familiar with VNC, basically it's Linux's version of remote desktop. So if you're familiar with remote desktop on Windows, it's essentially that for Linux. So if we do VNC Viewer and we give the IP address of our target, and then I think it's colon and 5900. VNC Viewer. And so for password, I believe the password is just password. I think that's the default. And yeah, there you go. And as you see here, we are root. And we'll just confirm that. And yeah, so we pretty much can do whatever the heck we want to do at this point. All kinds of stuff. So, yep, that's pretty much what that does. And I mean, this is literally, if you can get this is better than getting SSH. This is like the best shell you can get. You actually have full GUI access and everything, as you see here. So that's a gold mine if you can happen to find that. But normally, that's not going to be running in a real world environment on like default credentials. I certainly hope not. Though it has happened. It has been out there before. Same thing with remote desktop. So yeah, we'll pretty much cut the video here. This is just a few other ways that we can exploit this box, showing you low-hanging fruit, even hitting a wall in some of the low-hanging fruit. We want to make sure we don't get funneled down a rabbit hole, so we look further for other low-hanging fruit items, and we confirm or deny those before we go back and spend more time down what could be a rabbit hole. So yeah, hopefully this has been helpful, and this whole series has really helped you guys. Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. In the next one, and the last one here, we are going to be going over exploiting Apache Tomcat. So yeah, stay tuned for that. See you in the next one.